I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Tuesday, June the 13th, brought to you in part by Safeguard. You trust cubes, blocks, and mineral to give your cattle the supplements that they need. With Safeguard, that's how you also make sure that they've got the worming that they need and that it's effective. For more information, go to safeguardworks.com, or you can text DOSER to 48109 for a chance to win a Safeguard Power Doser. Also, Beaver County Stockyards, about 1,400 head for them. They have about 400 calves. About half of those 400 calves are going to be hard-weaned little 3 and 4 weight calves. Where are you going to find them, guys? They had a local producer there that bought some calves that was pulled off pairs there a few months back, weighing under 2. He's got them all straightened up for you, ready to go. A lot of those be 60 days weaned, guys, and absolutely impossible to find anywhere. Going to have probably 700 yearlings included in that. They'll have 8 load lots of 800 to 1,000 pound steers, another 2 loads of 7 weight heifers right there, and then some other packages to kind of fill in. Light run of cows, but there is a small consignment of some fancy first calf heifer pairs if you're a fairly small producer and you would like to get in on those. Check out Beaver County Stockyards on dvauction.com if you think you might be interested in bidding on some cattle. Be sure to call the office at Beaver County Stockyards and get approved before the sale starts. We've seen all-time record high prices, especially for finished fat cattle, for yearlings now, and most classes of calves. And so we just keep looking at these prices, which they went higher again on the feeder cattle to start the week here, and you think, my gosh, how are they going to make these things work? And they are difficult to pencil, but if you look in there, you know, it's still costing over $1, and I don't care. You guys can make like it don't. Farmer feeders are famous for that, saying it doesn't cost $1 a pound to feed them, but you've got your corn at $5.50 a bushel. It's going to cost you $1 a pound to put it on cost of gain. Some of your commercial lots, and especially the ones further south, it's going to cost significantly more than that. But if you look at what your real-time index was on Monday to end the day, 226 based on an 800-pound steer. Well, 226 on an 800-pound steer, that's just a pinch over $1,800 a head. You're going to put 700 pounds on them. That's the only way you can make it work, so if you make them big. So we're going to make them weigh 1,500. We're going to put 700 pounds on them at $1.25 a pound. We're going to make it simple. I'm not going to put any death loss in there. You guys that think you can feed them for $1, you can include that in that. Not going to put any freight or any processing charges in there, but $1.25 a pound cost of gain, 700 pounds, that's $875. So you add those two together, it's actually $1,808 and $875. Put those together, divide by 1,500, you come out at 179 is a break even on those. Go out to December live cattle futures. They closed on Monday at 179.50. I know you don't want to do it for 50 cents a hundred, but you may get a $7 or $8 basis. That's what your feedlots are banking on. They always hedge the cattle all the way to their eyeballs, and then just bank on a basis or something like that. And all of them want things to stay the way they are. Your big corporate feeders, everybody, they want things to stay the way they are. They don't care if your live cattle futures ever converge, because they're on the short side through hedging, and if they don't, then that gives them an opportunity to gain a little ground there. And if your CME lost, your big corporates on the hedging side, who would trade the board? So you wonder why they can't fix that thing where people could be on the long side and demand delivery which might happen to entice some packers to get in there whenever they're having to give $1.90 for cattle and the board is well under $1.80. But it just doesn't work that way because the powers that be want things to stay the way they are. But you know, you could kind of pencil out a break even on those fat cattle. If you're wanting to turn some yearlings out there, I mean it's hard to make them work, guys, unless you've got the grass bought or leased or something pretty cheap and you got plenty of it. But that's where the LRPs come in. You know, I'm always advertising different outfits that offer the LRPs. You've got to do it. All the big guys are doing it. That nobody's going to leave themselves out there with their head laid across the table to get chopped off. But you know, you can put even you cow-calf producers. You can lock your cow-calf or your calves in to sell around year's end or the first of next year. You can lock your steer calves in weighing under 6 for $268 for less than $9 a hundred. And then you can also get some government supplement there to help you pay for that. If you want to lock some yearlings in for year's end, depending on how your grazing season is, which most people are half done with their grazing season right now or even more. But for year's end, you could lock some backgrounded yearlings in weighing under 1,000, some yearling steers, lock them in for $244 at less than $8 a hundred. And guys are making that work, and it's not completely limiting them on their top side. They don't get any margin calls. Seems to work pretty well. Got to give you an update, which many of you have probably heard, but the folks at JBS, who I call the farmer's friend, you know, always on the up and up, they have announced plans that they are launching the world's largest fake meat plant. It's going to be in Spain. They had plans to build a big one in the United States, but the fake meat has just not performed very well in the United States. It has performed better over in Europe, and so they're thinking that's going to work. Now, this is not the plant-based stuff that we've seen before. This is the cultured stuff, the lab-grown meat, which from all the experts that's told me, of course I've never eaten it, they say that it is it's a better product than what the lab-based product is, because basically all that is mashed up peas with a whole bunch of salt and a shitload of liquid smoke mixed in it, trying to make you think that you're eating something real. Why not just eat something that's real, guys? It's not as efficient to produce as beef is. It's a whole lot more expensive, but whenever they start building these big plants, they get economies of scale, and that's going to bring the price down. We don't know if it's going to be down enough to be competitive with real beef, but just something that's happening out there, guys. Pay attention on Thursday here, if you're looking for yearlings especially, Elite Livestock Sales. That's the guys that were at Montgomery Stockyards, Jerry Etheridge, Darrell Stokes, Wesley Grantham, you know, Chuck Bradley, the whole gang there that you trust and know. They have really been successful with the first few of these Elite Livestock Sales. Their video board sales is really what they are, and they are gaining ground. They're getting new customers on the buying and selling in both. They've got another pretty good sized sale here this Thursday, June the 15th, 3 o'clock Central. So that's the time everybody can get in and do that. 3 o'clock Central. They got 26 loads of yearlings they're going to be offering on there. They've got 4 loads of weaned calves that are certified under the beef care. So be sure and get on to dvauction.com. Go on to dvauction.com ahead of time. Look up the Elite sale, Elite Livestock Sale that's going to be held on Thursday. Look at the video of those cattle and get prepared to bid on them. Talk about your board on Monday to start the week out. June live cattle futures were up 85 cents at 179.07. August was up $1.35 at 173.20. Your back months were all up too on live cattle, up 80 cents to up 172. Feeder cattle for August up a nickel at 239.05, still trading at a big premium to what our cash index levels are. So September contracts on feeder cattle up 37 cents at 242.07. Back months were all up big. I say big, I guess moderate, from up 42 to up 72. December new crop corn up 18 3/4 cents a bushel at 549.5. They've all been banking here for the last couple of weeks for big rains in the central to eastern corn belt the mid part of this week, and now we're not sure if they're going to come or not. And if the week goes by here and we don't see some pretty significant moisture in the central to eastern corn belt, Corn Bay may be in for a big shot in the arm there. November new crop beans up 4 3/4 cents at 12.09. Kansas City hard red winter wheat for July down 1 1/4 cents at 796.5. Your weighted average on last week's negotiated fed cattle trade on a direct basis out of your 5 area feeding region totaled up to be 95,200 head. Pretty good movement, guys. I want to see 100,000 in your 5 area negotiated, and 95.2 is pretty darn close to that. When the prices are higher, we see more volume. And guys that are against Cattle Price Discovery and Transparency Act tell you that that's not necessarily the case. Yes, it is. The higher the market, the more volume we see on a negotiated basis, and vice versa. The more negotiated sales you see, the higher the market. So, that 95,002 compares to 79,004 the previous week, 74,300 same week a year ago. Live sales of steers and heifers last week ranged from 180 to 194, $4 to $9 higher. Your weighted average on live steers in the 5 area last week ended up being 188.75, up 672 for the week. And you're saying, my gosh, how can your weighted average be a higher trend than what your range is? Well, we saw more trade in the northern plains, and they were at a higher price, of course, so that's why it was that much higher. Northern plains sold cattle mostly from 187 to 190. That was 1 to 4 higher. Most of the dress sales in the northern plains are at $3 a pound dressed. That was $8 to $15 higher. And your range in all your sales of dressed steers and heifers was $290 to $300.50. That was actually $3.5 to $10 higher than the previous week. Your weighted average on dressed steers was $299.21, up $9.16 compared to the previous week. Wow, big gains there on a dressed basis. 109,800 negotiated sales nationwide. 32% of those, which was too many, was for the 2 to 4 week delivery, but I imagine they'll end up calling for those sooner because they were really short bought out there. But 109,800 negotiated nationwide last week. 62,100 was for negotiated grid. 35,600 were for forward contract, and 249,100 were formula, which doesn't really balance out, but the formula was actually down from what it normally is. It's usually quite a bit bigger than that. But your volumes by region, Iowa sold 35,500 last week. Where they keep finding them in Iowa to buy, I don't know. Nebraska 34,600 negotiated, Kansas 16,600, and Texas just 8,500 head. And you see there was way more volume in the northern plains. That was one reason why your weighted averages were so much higher than a week ago. Box beef cutout values surged again. They have just been going straight up here, guys. Choice cuts up $4.50 at $337.43. Selects up $4.53 at $310.24. Slaughter was good to start the week out on Monday. 125,000 estimated. We need at least that to keep things going. Talk about what else is going on. Latch Group, that's Andy Cunningham there in western Oklahoma. He wants you to hang on to your investment, hence the Latch. But he likes to use gross margin policies to help you guys hedge your cattle that are on feed, not just your turnout cattle, but your cattle that are on feed, your feedlot cattle, and your feed and your corn. So you can hedge both of those with one contract. He can help show you how to do that. You got to do something, guys. These prices are too high to just leave yourself hanging out there. You got to get an LRP on your background in cattle. You got to do something to hedge those cattle on feed. This is an option there. Get a hold of them at nightlatch.net. Talk about your feeder cattle prices, your real-time index on DV auction. Late in the day on Monday, sitting at 226.08, gaining another $1.15 from the end of last week's trading. Your big high volume sales on Monday. Oklahoma National Stockyards in Oklahoma City had 10,300 head. Feeder steers were mostly steady. Feeder heifers were $2 to $5 higher. Calves $4 to $6 lower. It was a much plainer offering than a week ago. Probably had something to do with your calf market there being some lower, and they just said that the buyers were a little pickier than what they had been here for the last couple of weeks. But stick out sale in Oklahoma City was National Livestock, selling 53 steers weighing 860 pounds at $225. Pretty impressive. How about Joplin Regional Stockyards? 10,000 head for them. Feeders were steady to $3 higher. Your steer calves were steady to $5 lower. Heifer calves $3 to $10 lower. Stick out sale in Joplin was 193 steers, weighed 909 at $228. Joplin Regional Stockyards. If you guys are interested in marketing through Primetime Livestock Video with Joplin, their Big Bang sale, the biggest video sale that they have, is going to be held at Pittsburgh, Kansas, there at the casino. We're going to be out there with DV Auction to broadcast that. But you need to be getting those consignments in, because they're going to be putting together a real nice catalog for that. So you want to get in on the catalog if you can. If you've got some, you've been thinking about putting them on there, that is a good time to put them on there, guys, for the Big Bang sale with Primetime Livestock Video. Your National Beef Wire stick-out sale of the day for Monday was Callaway Livestock Center in Kingdom City, Missouri. Going to have over 3,000 head. Of course, they don't start that thing till after lunch. Sell all the feeders and then sell cows most of the night. Have been here for the last several weeks, but ended up with over 3,000 this week. They had over 4,000 last week, so it was a good comparison. But calves were slightly lower, as you can see here, and this is just on the steers because I thought I was proving a point here. Feeder steers sharply higher compared to the good tests that they had last week, and they were some of our stick-out sales last Monday. But look at your change on your weighted average over there to the right, guys. But on your steers and Callaway, 411 head of 5-weight steers, average 557. Weighted average price $273.02. That was down there almost $5 there, and that's typical to what your other markets were seeing on Monday. 187 head of 6-weight steers, average 637. Weighted average price $257.07. $10 higher on your weighted average than last week's good test. 193 head of 8-weight steers, Kingdom City, Missouri, averaged 858. Weighted average price $226.02, $15 higher. And 191 head of 9-weight steers, averaged 921. Weighted average price $223.71 on 9 weights, $16 higher than last week, and they had a hell of a sale last week. I mean, this market is so much higher. How about Bluegrass Stockyards? The flagship location in Lexington, Kentucky. Going to be going out to Lexington, Kentucky for Superior Ag Risk, guys, and going to be giving a presentation here in a couple weeks. You guys check into it. Be sure to be there if you can. But Bluegrass Stockyards in Lexington was selling the Yearlings high. How about 8 and 9 weight and heavier steers here in big groups, loads and bigger. Very, very impressive there, guys. All your 8s and 9s sold well, but I want you to look at that load of 1,021 pound steers that bring 203.90. Happen to know that those steers were turned out in October weighing 6 and they cost $170. That kind of works, guys. How about your couple of stick out deals? Russell Livestock Auction in Russell, Iowa. They sell 71 steers, weighed 521 at $303.50. Very impressive. But the best quote that I saw anywhere on Monday, your Mackerson, no BS, top quote for the day was a special in Salina, Kansas. Farmers and Ranchers Livestock in Salina, Kansas sells 122 steers. They weigh 913 and bring $233.75. And that's your feeder flash for Tuesday.